The Seattle Seahawks do have a first-round pick. Finally, they got the Broncos number 9 overall pick. Josh, when you look at this team, there's a pretty clear-cut need at one position, unless you're a Drew Lock truther. Besides quarterback, what else do they need, and what do you think they could do at 9, or maybe somewhere else in the draft if they were to slide back a bit?
Yeah, this is a team I've had a hard time trying to figure out. I don't know if they're rebuilding. I don't know if they're going all in for this upcoming season. But I still think they are the most likely team to land Baker Mayfield. So that would solve the quarterback situation for them without having to use that first-round pick. So in the first round, I look at cornerback as a possible position of need. So Derek Stingley out of LSU, maybe Sauce Gardner from Cincinnati if he's still available. Maybe they go for one of those edge rushers that could still be on the board, whether that's Jermaine Johnson II from Florida State. I think Trayvon Walker and Aiden Hutchinson will probably be gone by that point. And if I had to guess, Kayvon Thibodeau will probably be gone as well. So,
and by the way, this is the highest, if they stay at 6 or they stay at 9, and take a pick there, this will be the second highest draft pick that they have made in the Pete Carroll, John Schneider era. Only Russell Okung, who they took in the first year at number 6, would be higher.
And then offensive tackle. I mean, you could also go with an offensive tackle because Dwayne Brown remains unsigned.
I look at the Seahawks, and I kind of like Josh said, I'm kind of echoing this. I don't understand what they're doing. And to me, I see that roster as DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. I'm not even really that big of a Jamal Adams fan in terms of how good he is. I think he's still overrated. He's just not a coverage safety. That's it. That's all they have. They have 2 good receivers at different stages of their career. The rest of their team, unless I'm blatantly forgetting someone, is really in need of rebuilding. So at number 9 overall, I think they should be in, hey, let's just pick the best available player. If it's Charles Cross, great. If Kayvon Thibodeau falls, awesome. Even if it's Kyle Hamilton, you could say, hey, safety's not really that important. But I think it's a position on the rise in terms of its value. Seahawks, you look at their roster, offensive and defensive rosters, and are just like, hey, they need pieces everywhere. They could use an interior pass rusher. They could use a Kayvon Thibodeau. They could use Trevon Walker if he falls, if he's not the first pick. So it's not really like, hey, let's pigeonhole them in to an offensive tackle or a guard like we did with the Raiders. They're just really a team that I feel like should probably not re-sign DK Metcalf and trade him while his value is still high before he has a bad season with the bad quarterback. And then they're kind of in this weird contract situation with him after this season. So best player available all the way for the Seattle Seahawks. I would like quarterback, but like Josh said, I think the Baker Mayfield kind of being a little bit immature. I think the Seahawks, Pete Carroll, they've long been okay with guys with off-field issues that have some drama attached to their name. So if they feel like, hey, after the draft, we'll trade for Baker Mayfield, or during the draft at a reduced price, fine, but just go BPA at 9.
I mean, I honestly have, like, the Seahawks might be the most confusing team in the NFL right now. They have a 70-year-old head coach who just won a power struggle with his future Hall of Fame quarterback, so he could trade him to Denver and bring back Drew Lock on a team that has good receiving weapons but really wants to run the ball. They have their star running back has an injured neck, and the former first-round pick that was a bust had a great, Rashad Penny, maybe he's I don't know. The whole thing is nuts. And then you look at the defense and you're like, okay, you want to run the ball and play defense, but you guys aren't good at, you're not good at that. Like, you were good at just letting Russ loose. And I don't think they're rebuilding. I don't think they could possibly want to rebuild with given Pete Carroll's age. Maybe this is like Bill Belichick's 2020. Take our lumps now and try to get back next year, but also compete. I mean, I don't know. It's pretty hard to look at the Seahawks and picture them anywhere but last place in this division.
Yeah, totally. Even if they sign Baker Mayfield, and even if you are a Baker Mayfield truther, which I'm certainly not, but even if you think he can, revitalize his career, yes, I think just looking at the other teams in this division that we'll go over, they clearly have the worst roster. And even though they have this pick early in round 1, have some more selections than they've had in recent history in the draft, I think they would have to almost nail almost every one of their picks to be even competitive within their own division.
You can kind of see a path though, where it's like Drew Lock is their guy, and they only let him throw like 10 to 12 times per game, and it's all bombs down the field to DK and Tyler Lockett.
That's what he did at Missouri. Yeah,
they run the ball well, and they just compress games, like just turn them into ugly rock fights, and just steal like eight wins. And people are like, "This Pete Carroll, what a coach of the year job!" Or I mean, I don't know. It's April. It's a little easier to be optimistic. I mean, like everybody thinks they can win the Super Bowl right now, and then you wake up and suddenly Drew Lock is throwing multiple pick sixes per week.